Hey everyone, it's Andrew here from PhotoBizX. Welcome to this training with John Glaser. If you are unfamiliar with John, he runs a studio-based photography business in Texas in the US. He's been very, very successful. I was just chatting to him before you guys came onto the call. He has 22 sessions booked for this week, 23 for next week. He's very experienced with sales. He's done both sides of sales. So he's actually done the selling. He's doing the selling right now. He's also outsourced the sales and he's currently training someone else to do the sales right now. So he knows where you're coming from. He'll be able to answer your specific questions. He loves and uses Fundy, but you do not need to use Fundy to do this training or get something from it. But if you do have any Fundy specific questions, I'm sure John will be able to answer those. Just while we are on the topic of Fundy, they were happy enough when they heard about this to offer a 30% discount. There's nothing in this for me or John, but if you do want to use Fundy, there's a free trial, plus you can get a 30% lifetime discount if you use the promo code PhotoBizX. But again, you can apply what John teaches today to your workflow, whether or not you're using Fundy. So you could be using ProSelect, Lightroom, any other kind of gallery software. It'll still work for you. So yeah, all that to say, John is very successful. He knows sales. He's going to share his tactics, his strategies to make the sales that he does. He has a great sales average. He does get some no sales, which I'm sure he'll cover as well. And he'll take us through his process. So without further ado, John, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Hey everybody, thanks for being here. Thanks Andrew for having me. So like just to give you a little background of how this kind of came about, I hear photographers talk about a lot of this, and then I was looking to hire a new salesperson. And as I was going through and interviewing people for the sales job, a lot of them had some sales experience. And almost everybody I interviewed said they've never used anything like ProSelect or Fundy or anything like that. They always did sales on Lightroom, and I'm like, man, you're really missing out. And so I just approached Andrew and just said, hey, would you be open to maybe doing a training like this? I think people could get something out of it. I can show, how I'm using Fundy. But again, like Andrew said, you don't have to be using Fundy to kind of implement some of the tactics that I do, specifically with upselling wall art and things like that. So there's a lot of different things I'm hoping you'll get out of this. I'm not going to spend a crazy amount of time like training you on all the little intricacies of Fundy. I'm going to go through the basics of what I do, but there's a lot more that Fundy does that I don't actually even implement within my business. But I'm going to show you how I set up things, how I do things, how I run a sales session. Andrew has been gracious enough to be kind of my mock guinea pig for this, to be my the person I'm selling to for a little bit, and just I want to go over some things that we do when we do this thing. So I know everybody, some people, I'm looking at the people that are here. There's a wide array of experience with people. So if you've doing things different than what I'm doing, more power to you. If you're like new to IPS and you're like, I don't even know where to start, hopefully you'll get a lot out of this. But this is how I do things, and it's been successful for me, and I've been doing it for quite a long time. And like Andrew said, I've done it myself. I've trained others on doing it, and they've had success for me as well. So without further ado, if you've downloaded Fundy and you have two screens, you can kind of follow along with me, but it's not a given. You don't have to do that. You can just sit and watch while we're doing this, and then kind of go to the replay and follow along on the replay if you would like. But I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started here. So if you haven't downloaded Fundy, I mean, it's a free to download and do a trial if you want to try it out and everything. I'll be honest, I was telling Andrew when I first tried Fundy about 5 or 6 years ago, I hated it. And then I went last year to WPPI. I'd always kind of dabbled in it. We use it for album designs for our studio. We've done that for a long time, but I couldn't grasp the sales side of it. And then I went to WPPI last year. I met Andrew Fundenberg. I'm not a salesperson for Fundy. I don't represent them. They're a tool that I like to use. And I had used a different service until then. And I met Andrew. He showed me some things that I was just like, I had a bunch of questions. He answered them. And I literally said, excuse my language, out loud in the class in front of everybody. Why the fuck have I not been using this longer? You know? And he laughed, and I was just like, I was blown away. So, anyway, so when you open it up, it's going to ask you to start a new project. I like to, on my other screen here, I'm going to use a project of a sales session that I did recently from this family. And so I just copy the name of the file folder that I use here. We have a real specific file name that we use. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I did not want to do that. So if you do that, that's a file that's already been opened. Just start a new project and put their name in here. And then I have a folder on my desktop or on my documents called Fundy Files, where I save all my Fundy files, and then I create the project, right? And then you can import your photos. You can just click here, go find your photos where they're located. I know where mine are here. You just need to know where they are. It's under Andrew's Fundy course, and then call. And then this is probably the longest time it's going to take to get myself set up and ready for a sales session after I've kind of figured all this stuff out. So it's going to import all the photos. So it takes a couple of seconds here. I recommend doing full size photos. Don't do like reduced size photos because it can hurt the image quality that you would show your clients. The other thing is I'm going to show you too, you can use Fundy to output your final designs. And if you have the full size files in there, then you don't have to redo that. So like we don't edit photos prior to sales sessions. So we do the sales session, what I'm going to go over with you today. Then we do the final edits on the photos that they purchase. And then if they do like wall art or something, then we bring those edited photos back in. It replaces the old photo. And if you have a wall art design and everything, it's going to change. Go just replace those photos and you haven't messed up the design of the wall art. After you import everything, it's going to ask if you want to do auto retouch, skin retouch, intelligent retouch. It's just going to give you some skin softening and stuff. I just skip this. I like to show people the photos as we shot them, and then they can, make any comments about any edit requests that they might have throughout the sales session. All right, so a couple of things about Fundy. Up at the top here, you'll see like these bars at the top. It's like album view. I don't even know. This one's a proof view. You can do some proofs and stuff. I don't use that. But the two I'm going to focus on are gallery view and the album view. But you can also make cards. You can do a slideshow, which we will do the slideshow here in a bit, and so on and so forth. But you can go down here to Design Wizard. And what we like to do is I used to show all the photos from the session or a good number of photos from the session, but you can see I have 71 photos from this session. That would make for a really long slideshow to show the photos to people. And with Fundy, what I like to do is I like to show them like an album design. So Fundy is really amazing with doing albums. We used this for album design before we even started using it for sales. So I go in here to this. This is how I do it. Everybody does their own way. I do it this way. Oh, before we do this, I'm sorry, let me back up. The other thing that's really cool in here is you can go up to Design Library and you can download different designs. So like if you're wall art collections, you can download all different kind of wall art collections. We're a Graphy Studio studio. And so we use Graphy Studio products. And so the Steve Saporito collections, both composite and the collections, I have these installed. I don't have the white version in. I just have the black version, but you can change that black if you want to in the designer on Fundy. But you can do all different kinds, like Mark Rosetto has stuff in here and Design and Glow, like all different kinds of stuff. And you can go in here and pick and choose what you want. You can even download, if I choose this, like this Miller collage wall. Once I go in here and I create, I'm gonna just do this real quick. I click generic standard when I do this. If you're metric, like this is the question that was asked earlier, if you're metric, choose generic metric, and then it'll do all the sizing metric. But since I'm in the US, no offense, I'm going to do that. And then I just title the gallery. You can do multiple types of galleries if you want to. I usually only do one. But once you've created that, now if you go into layouts, you can see the collections. So here's the Miller wall collections, and it shows you all the different kinds. Like that's crazy. That's a crazy one. That would be like a $40 million sale right there. But so, there's all different kinds of styles and stuff, and you can even go in here and delete ones that you want to, if you want to delete some, or if like I don't want to use any of these Miller ones, I can just click out of it and it's gone. So you see, I have the Steve Saporito. Then the composite, if it's a composite, like a single wall piece with multiple images, that's what these are, right? And again, you can go in here and delete them and all that stuff. So then it'll go in room view. I'm going to come back to this in a minute, but I wanted to show you that you can design and download these things now, and then you can do. We'll talk a little bit more about those kind of things later, right? So I always go in. The first thing I do is I set up my design. I like to do an album. Like I said, an album is how we're going to show the slideshow. We sell albums, but we're not designing the final album now. We're just doing it as like a little preview of the photos, right? So if I click on this, each one of these is designing its own thing, but right now I'm only going to do the album. This is just a workflow that has worked for us, and that's why I'm showing it to you this way. You can pick what kind of lab you're using. So we use Graphic Studio. We sell the Go Book. And again, this is where Andrew was asking, if you do the Europe version, it's going to be a metric. If you do the US, it's going to be the US sizing and everything, inches and stuff. So then you pick what size you want to do. If it's a large family, I might do like a rectangle, but I generally go with a square look. And then I do a photo cover, right? And then over here, if you go in and you star different photos and everything, you can do the album just off of stars. And I'll show you that at the end, after we've done like the end of the sale, and say somebody wants to buy an album, we can design that album right there with them really, really quickly. And so they can approve that album before we even get off the call. And once the photos are final edited, when I put them back in here, they're just replaced the edit photos in here, and we don't have to redo it again, redo the design. But I'm just going to do the entire collection for this purpose. Here it's going to show you the number of pages design. So each page is a page, not a spread. So this would be 20 spreads if you did 40. And then how many photos per spread, so 1 to 3, and this will automatically design. You can do 1, you can change these numbers if you want to. I keep it 1 and 3. I just feel like that's a good mix. But what I like to do is design my pages based off of how many photos I have. So if I have 70 photos, I might do 50 pages, right? 50 to 60 pages. So then I'm going to design the project, bam, just like that. I've got an album design. It's not perfect, but I can move things around real quick. So I always like to start with what people like to call like a hero image, or an image of the family. I really like this outfit that they wore, and that's going to be the cover, and that's going to be the first thing that they're going to see in the slideshow. But you'll notice that this guy is up here now. So I'm going to go find him down in here, and I'm just going to drag this photo down into this part of the gallery. I'm going to make its own page and then drag this photo into another page. So bam, bam, like this isn't got to be perfect. And like I said, I don't edit photos. So you might see some backdrop and some lights in there. And we explain that to clients, so they know this. It's not like a surprise to them. And then I go through the album and I see how things look, and if anybody's head's chopped off or whatever, if there's a photo I think might be a good 2-page spread or something, then I might do that. If I want to do a 2-page spread, let's say this photo here, I just go over here into the middle, and it creates a 2-page spread automatically, and then redesigns the previous page that I took it from. But if I don't like this design because there's a lot of white space, I can go over here to the little hamburger thing, or whatever you want to call the tiles, and it gives me some suggested kind of looks and stuff. And right now I'm not doing a final design. I'm just doing a preview of the photo, so I don't spend a ton of time on this. From the time that I download the photos and make my file to being ready to do a sale takes me maybe 5 minutes. The longest being importing the photos. I'm going through this a lot slower than I normally would just for training purposes. But I'm just trying to create a nice presentation. So everybody's heads are showing, nobody's cut off. Like this design here, I don't like that so much. I might want to fill out the screen a little bit. You can swap pictures if you want to and swap things. If you don't like it, you can do Command Z or Control Z if you're on a PC. I'm using a Mac, by the way, so if I say things Mac related, then you'll know what it is. This one here has got a lot of white space. I can change this, but I don't always do that when I'm at this point. So this is how you do a really quick album design. So if you've never used Fundy and you're doing albums, like just this alone shows you the value of using Fundy to do albums. There's a lot more tools in here for the albums that you can do that I'm not really going to get into. I mean, you can literally click on the layout, add verbiage, you can add all different kinds of things in here that we don't do as a studio, but if you're doing it in your studio, it's really easy to design in here and it takes minutes. And then once you're done and you've got your final edits, you can go up here to images and resync the images from the folder. You have to keep the same file name. You can't change the file name. So if the file name's the same and you've got an edit folder, you just read it, go resync the images. You'll find that folder, click it, and it'll resync all the images and then they'll be edited. And then once you're done, you can go in here and you can export for print and you can export it as JPEGs. Some labs, you can direct order through them. I know Miller's, I think, is one of them. And you'll have an opportunity to do those kind of things as well. But I'm not going to export anything. I'm not losing my, oh, here.
John, just super quickly,
Yeah,
the images that you're importing, do they have to be on the main computer or can they be on a separate hard drive?
Great question. So I generally, it depends on what I'm doing. I have a separate hard drive, like an external hard drive that's connected to my computer. I use a laptop here in my office and they're on the hard drive. So I've done it both. I've done it on the desktop and I've done it on the hard drive. Speed wise, I haven't seen anything different. I know that was a question that Andrew had. And since we're talking about that, one thing that I learned with Fundy when I first started it is if you're a Mac user, and even if you're a PC user, if you go up here to images after you've downloaded, you only have to do this once after you've downloaded it. It's actually, sorry, it's under view. And if you click this full res film strip view, if you click that, I honestly don't know what it does. That's just what Fundy recommends. When you click that, it changes something and it ran a lot smoother. When I first got Fundy, I was a little frustrated about the speed, and then I contacted their tech support. Their tech support's been great. If you go to their website and then just you put in a ticket, I usually hear something within 24 hours and they give me the answer. And if they don't, if they don't have an answer, then they will keep working until they find out an answer. We had a bad bug. We couldn't figure, it was not to, like, they fixed it, but we had a bug that we couldn't figure out. And it was something that was not working well with our computer. And we went back and forth with them for a while and they ended up getting on a Zoom and trying to, and eventually figured out what to do and got it fixed. But that took a little bit of time. That's not the norm. I think I've contact tech support for them once a year because I just don't have a lot of problems with it personally. But that is one thing that I realized when I first started it was the speed. Some people might have speed issues. If you click this full res film strip view, that did away with that. And then as we're sitting here looking, this is another photo that I could just do full screen. And so I'm just going to go into there and make it full screen because it can make a nice 2-page spread. So I've got my, yes, sir.
Sorry, one other thing quickly. So when you're shooting, just to take you back a step, are you shooting in RAW and JPEG at the same time and you're just importing the JPEGs here?
No, that's a great question too. So I do all RAW. I used to shoot RAW and JPEG, but I found I was doing twice the work. I shoot everything in RAW. This is prior to we getting to this point. After we shoot RAW, we go through and we cull the images We use like Lightroom. You can use Lightroom. We use Photo Mechanic. It's just something I've done because I used to do sports photography and use Photo Mechanic for years. I call through Photo Mechanic doing, 1 star or, that's red in Photo Mechanic, and then figure out which ones I want to do. And then I just export those as full res JPEGs. And then once I do that, that's my final folder. Another thing that we've done, and this is totally up to you, I'm just telling you tricks of my trade that has been lessons learned over time. After we cull the photos, we put them in their own folder and delete all the other photos. The reason being, I have never had a client go, "Hey, can you go and see if there's any other photos that you missed that we can kind of look at?" I mean, we do 300-400 sessions a year, and I've been doing this for 5.5 years. I've never had somebody ask me that. And what I found is by keeping that folder of photos, I'm just wasting space on my hard drive. So we do it during the culling process. We cull the photos, put them in its own folder, and delete the original the original folder, so that all we have are the culled photos. I hope that makes sense. Any other questions, Andrew?
No, all good, mate. Let's keep going. This is great.
Sorry, my dog's in here playing with a toy. Real life here, people. Real life. All right. So after I've made the album, the next thing I'm going to do is create that that room view. I like to show my clients a few example room views of what their photos could look like on the wall to try and hopefully wow them and get them to be like, "Oh, yeah, that's what wall art would look like. I like that." So, like I said, I create the new gallery. We already created it, and I call it wall art. You can call it whatever you want to, but I already made this. So if I just click it, now I've got a room view. If you go down here to room view, if you're clicked on this, it shows your film strip with all your photos. And then this here is all the different kind of room options here that are down here. And you can see, for example, somebody sent me a wall of their home, and I use that wall to design their room view. So it's really simple to do. Over here is like this little ingestion thing. And if I were to download, let me see if I got something here on my desktop. This is a really bad oh wait, here. No, this is a great example. This is a room somebody sent me. I put it into this little folder, or like this right here, and then it pops up this, and then you can put this this line here wherever you want it, like on a reference picture or something, and then they can tell you, "Oh, that picture is like a 9 by 12 or whatever," or if it does it in centimeters or inches. So if it's 9 by 12 and this is the 9 inch, you need to be close so you can keep this to the right scale. Then you put 9 inches, click next. I like to make this design area pretty big. And this is the design area where you would design the piece, and then you go to finish. And now I have that room down here, and I can design on the client's wall, and so that they can see what it would actually look like on their wall, right? So really fast. You saw how fast it is. When we do it in the Zoom, we do Zoom sales. And so when we're doing Zoom sales, we actually, when they're wanting to do wall art, they'll turn their laptops a lot of time and go, "Is this wall over here?" I'm like, "Can you just take a photo of that wall and send it to me in a text real quick? I'll download it, throw it in here. It takes 2 seconds. You saw how fast it was. And we can actually see what your wall art is going to look like in your wall." And everybody gets super stoked when I tell them that, because here's the thing. If I were to say, "I'm going to use this wall because it's nice and clean," because I don't show their walls unless they send them to me ahead of time. Sometimes I do. I like to show it on a clean wall, but sometimes if they do send it ahead of time, I will have some wall art examples for them so they can see it in their own rooms. But and this is something I'm going to get on the sales side of things. If somebody says, "I really like this photo," right? But I want it to be an 8 by 10. And I'm like, and most of the time, people that say I want it to be an 8 by 10 are budget people. and they're going, I just want an 8x10. Okay, cool. Let's see what that looks like on the wall. Oh wow, okay. I'll ask him, I'm like, where are you gonna put it? I'm planning on putting it somewhere like above my fireplace. Okay. So I pick one of these room views based on what they told me. And then I go, this is an 8x10. By the way, I forgot to do this. When I do that generic view, by default, it does a gallery wrap. And I always change this to like an acrylic print or a metal print or something that's not a wrap. So you can see on the wrap, if I blow this up, there's the wrap here going around. It's going to cut this dude's head off, right? So if I go back to view, what I did to get to that, sorry, what I did to get to there is I double click the image, and then I can move the image around, and I can zoom in and out on the image and all that kind of stuff. I can tilt the image if I want to, if it's crooked. We always have, like I said, we do this during the sale, so we get them to approve it. You can change it to black and white. If you want to flip it, you can flip it. People are amazed by that, especially with our dog headshots, because if you're doing a design and you want it one way and the dog's facing the way we shot it, the dog's facing the other way, they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. But again, I'm going to change this to acrylic so that you're not getting that wrap view or look. So again, this is on the sales side of things. When somebody says, oh, I want an 8x10, cool, that's 8x10. And they go, oh, wow, that's really small. And then I start educating them on, the normal is probably like for someplace like this, the minimum would be probably a 24x36. So I can put 36x24. Oh, that looks more like it. See how that fits better? If you really want to go big, you can maybe do like a 30x40, and then all you have to do is change it in here, or you can even just drag this. Oh, I really like that, and then they can go, what size is that? And you could tell them, oh, it's a 48x36. So this is one of the things that, and I'm not knocking the Pro Select user out there. I just found that this was a little clunky in Pro Select, and I like it a lot better in Fundy. There's a lot more versatility to changing things really quickly. So the same thing if I had a collection and I wanted to change the whole collection all of a sudden, I could change everything really, really fast here, where I found it's not the same with other programs. Any questions on wall art stuff?
No, mate, this is great. All good.
Okay. So what I like to do on the wall art, this is, again, I'm going really slow over this part to get it to show the setup, but this is this is part of the pre-sale thing that I set up before we even do the client thing. And so I want to show them some wall art that's like, I want them to be mesmerized and go, yes, I want that in my house. I loved this couple. They came in really prepared with what to wear. So I'm going to make this a 36x24. Oh, wait, 24x36. 36. And put it above a fireplace. And that's like the big, oh, wow, that would look really cool there. Right. And then I'm going to make a new design. And then I'm going to change the room view. And we always kind of do the same rooms for the most part. So I'm going to use this over a love seat. I don't like that love seat. This is the one I like. I'm going to do a love seat, and then I like to show something really grand. So I use this one here, and then we design something like this. And again, I do this really fast prior to the sales session. So I'll put this little doggy headshot in here, put mom with the pup in here. I'm not getting really crazy over because they're going to redesign it anyway once we get into this. Put dad up here with the pup, and let's put the pup where here, one of these like these Ottoman photos, but I'm going to make that a little bit bigger so that he's filling the screen. Again, this is just for the sales purpose. And since they're all wearing the white outfit, I'm going to keep the white outfit as part of, this one's cute. They love this one. I already did the sale. So, so yeah, I'm going to put this in here, and then I'm going to do one more design. So I got a single image, I've got a collection, and I'm going to do one more design. And anybody want to guess? I'm going to do a collage. And I like to put that like over a little table here. and go to collection composites. We use this. This is my favorite one. It's a 40 by 40. And I'm going to go to a different look. We're going to do more of the formal look again. I can bring it up here. I double click the image. That's how I got it to be big like this. I can make it nice and big and centered. And then, a nice snuggly photo with mom. Let's get a nice snuggly photo with dad. And again, he's a little small, so we're going to kind of even that out. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to find a really cute photo of pup and put him in the middle. So see how quickly I did that? Now I have a single image, and this is all important because this is part of the slideshow that I'm going to show them when they come in for their sale. We're going to do this, and then I've got the composite. Now we're ready to make our slideshow. Any questions on wall art?
Yeah, a couple of things here. So first up, from me, how many of your clients supply a photo of their wall compared to how many so you pre-design on your own walls, on these walls?
So 99 probably percent of the time we design on our own walls. Where we usually get I've tried it before where I get the walls ahead of time and I just don't have a lot of success with our business model. I know other people do. I just haven't. Where I get them to give me their wall is usually in the sales session. And then I say, hey, that wall behind you would look awesome with a wall art piece. And they're like, I agree. Just take a picture of that wall and then send it to me real quick. And do you have a tape measure? And can you measure that frame that's right there and tell me how big it is? If they don't have two little tricks that I do is if they don't have something on the wall, I just say, grab a sheet of paper, a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, tape it on the wall. Cause I know 8.5 by 11, is a standard American size piece of paper. And you don't have to tell me what size it is. The other thing that I do as a cheater, if I don't have a reference size to an image or to a room, is I'll use the power boxes. Like for example, this one here. Actually, let me back out of this real quick. I'm going to do a new room, new design. I'm going to go to this one. This is a great example. They sent me this. This is a family that sent me something ahead of time. I'm going to use one of these boxes, and I just looked up single gang box or electrical box, outlet box or whatever, and it gave me the size, and I did a Google search, and I just did one of the sides of that, and then it was close enough to get us a good idea of what size this area is and everything, because especially on a wall like this, you're going to put very specific things in here because there's molding around these spots, right? But if they do that, that's how I try and get the reference of the sizing and everything. But most of the time, it's like this family. It was during the sales session. They're like, we know exactly where we want it. We have this Astros wall. We want to do a family photo in here. I'm like, can you go take a picture of the wall? They did. They told me how big this piece was, and then we went from there. I hope that answers it.
Got it. I know we're not at the actual sales session yet.
Yeah. Go for it.
But is there pricing showing up as you're designing, or do you discuss pricing afterwards?
So we discussed pricing before. So after their sale is over with, or after their session is over with, we have like a little menu board in our studio. I have one sitting here. It's like one of those restaurant menu boards. Here, I'm going to unshare my screen. This one I just got because.
Just 1 second here. Let me just bring this up bigger.
Got to open it up. Sorry. Like this. It's like a little menu board that you get like with your restaurant menu in it. And then we'll put this is a legal size one. You can put a legal size piece of paper in here. We have this sitting on our table in the shooting area where all our products are. When we go through the products, we say, here's the product list, nice little menu thing. You can follow along with me while I go over the products with you. And then what we do is we say, why don't you take out your cell phone and take a picture of that? Because I've found I can give people a piece of paper and make it to the sales session and they're like, I never looked at it. Sorry. So I've even given them booklets and spent a bunch of money on things and they never look at it. But hey, if you get them to see it here as you're going through it, and they're seeing all the prices. And then you say, why don't you take a picture of that? So then you have it referenced on your phone. Then they're going to be like, great. They get it in email and text messages as well, leading up to their sale. But it's nice to do it that way when you're in the studio. Does
Got
that
it.
make sense?
It does, but when just with the Fundy software, when you're dragging, say, a 24 by 36 photo, does it have the price, or do they see the
So that's a
price?
great question. I don't use this feature. Like I said at the beginning, I don't, there's features for everything in here, but you can go in here and set up all your stuff based on sizes and everything and go like and edit pricing. And you can set up all your different sizes and all your different pricing. I don't do it that way because we don't invoice using the Fundy. We invoice using our CRM and everything. And we've always done that, and it works well for us. So we don't do it that way. We have a pricing sheet, and we show them the pricing sheet that has all the different prices on it. Does
Got
that
it.
make
Got it.
sense?
It does. Perfect. Thank you, John.
But
And
to
you
answer the question, if you wanted to do that, yes, that's a tool that you can do in Fundy. We just don't use it.
got it.
Like I said, there's a lot of other bells and whistles in here. We just don't use that tool at the moment.
Perfect. Let's just stick to whatever is working for you. That is perfect.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah,
The,
yeah,
and
but
just
it's a great question because other people might want to use that, and there's nothing wrong with using it. We just don't personally do it. So,
yes.
uh,
Okay. So, sorry, John.
all
And
right.
also, you're using acrylics here for your mock-ups. Is that because you
Mhm.
sell acrylics, or you just like the look of it in these mock-ups?
No, that's great. So it doesn't change really the look. It's just changing more of the crop. So like this is a great example because that one was really small. If I change this to gallery wrap, hey, let's do a really thick gallery. See how it zooms the
Right.
picture in the
Yeah.
gallery wrap? So I always just change it to acrylic. So it's like it's not going to do that wrap
Hmm.
like and crop it in automatically. But yes, when it comes to sales, we sell acrylic canvas and rarely, but we do sell metal prints. But you can do any of those type of things in here, but we just don't. There's not an option for canvas. We always just do acrylic. It's not for graphy. It doesn't matter if I export this as an acrylic. It's not saying it's an acrylic. It's the ordering process that's going to dictate that, not the exporting of the image.
Got it. Awesome.
And graphic canvases that we do, we don't like have a wrap. We don't use the wrap version. We just use like it looks. There's no real cropping to it or anything.
Cool.
Okay,
Let's keep going. This is
so now
great, John.
thank you. Now that I've designed my room, my three rooms, I like to do the three rooms. You can do one. I've tried it with one. I've tried it with two. I've tried it with three. I've tried it with none. But I found three showing those three different things that we've shown them in the studio and they've seen in the studio has been helpful. Now I'm ready to do my slideshow, right? And it seems like this, wow, this is a lot, John. It is, but once you get this all set up the first time, like I said, from me to import photos to when I'm ready to do the slideshow, maybe takes me 5-10 minutes, um, probably closer to 5. So if I click this button down here, and this is one of the little confusing things with Fundy is it brings up another window and it brought it up on my other screen. And I'm going to drag that over here. And so now it's like a film strip view. So when we're picking photos and stuff and we're going through and culling them with the client, we use this view. But it's also where you're going to go, where we found to go, like you can do it up here and you can click on the slideshow on the other screen. But this other screen comes up and we're going to click play up here at the left, and it's going to bring up this screen that has all your stuff for your slideshow. You can download songs. They have canned songs that are in here already that Fundy has. You can download other songs. I've always used, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, I've used that Summer Over the Rainbow cheesy Hawaiian song since I started my business, and I've never gone away from it. And it's a tearjerker for people. And so I just downloaded it and put it in here and use it for my slideshow. But then once you get into this part, you can add, I'm not going to delete all these, but you can delete like you can delete everything that's in here, and you only have to do this part one time. Once you open a new file, this will be saved, like this order will be saved every single time, right? But all you have to do the order is, like, if you want to do a title slide, if you want to do image slides, album slides, wall art slides, card slides, or studio logo. So I start with the studio logo is my first slide. My second slide, so if I did, I'm going to redo this, but I'm going to do a secondary one. So studio logo, and I just go and import the logo from my computer. Then the next one is, we like to show the album, so they get a preview of all the photos we took during the session. Then we show them the wall art that we designed. Those 3 wall art displays will come up on the screen. And then we like to end with the studio logo again. So logo, album, wall art, logo, right? So I'm going to delete these. You just click the thing here, and I already have that set up here, right? Click save, whatever. When you're ready to go, it tells you how long the slideshow is going to be, how long your music is. So if you like have a slideshow that's 8 minutes long, I wouldn't recommend that. You're going to lose people. But if it's, know that it's kind of under the 5 minutes. Even 5 minutes is kind of long for a slideshow, to be honest, in my opinion. But hey, sorry, got to text my kids and tell them, let the dogs out. All right. The other thing you can do too is, this is where you're going to change the background color for your overall presentation. So if you click on here, you can go in here and change it to whatever color you want. I like nice clean white. By default, it does a black color. That will be down here. But if you want to change that, all you got to do is click here, and you see how it changes, and it changes the background of the logo here and all that kind of stuff. Right. Now I'm ready to play. So when I go to a sale set, when I go into a sale, this screen is on my, so I do everything over Zoom. And when I do a sales session, I always have that screen that you just saw on my, I have two displays. One's my laptop display, which I call my business display. It's got all my business stuff that clients don't see. And then I have my client display, which is to my right of the camera here. And that's where I show all my stuff to my clients. That's where I'm going to drag pricing sheet. That's where I'm going to drag invoices when it's time for invoices or whatever into that. And that's what the client sees. They never see my other desktop because it's got like notes about the client. It's got my other tabs open, maybe that I don't want them to see and all that stuff. And I never drag all that over so that they see it. So now we're at kind of the sales portion of things, and what we've gotten to so far is all the setup to get to this point. Any questions that we want to go into, and then we'll kind of go into the sales side of this.
No, we're good, mate. We're answering it as they come up, and I think if anyone's got anything specific, we can put it at the end or after the presentation. So we're good. Yeah, just ignore Richard.
Hey, it's all good. I mean, I've had people give me opinions on it too, but most of the time it gives tears.
Well, I've got to say, John, I don't think there will be a photographer on this call that has had the same song for, I don't know, was it 6 years or whatever it is that you've been doing this or more?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I tried a couple other ones and I hated them.
If it
it's
works,
the same one for everything that I've done. What's that?
If it works, it works. You don't change it.
Yeah. Well, and a thing I learned a long time ago is at the end of the slideshow, if they're crying, a great way to break the ice is say, were the photos that bad? And then they're like, no, they were so good. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But it always gets a nice little laugh out of them. But anyway, so now we're on the sales side of things. So as I said before, we're going to do as close as possible, but we're not going to do exactly. But Andrew is gracious enough. I know these aren't your photos, but you're going to pretend like you're that family. And I'm going to kind of go through everything that I do during the sales session, including how my thought process, what's going on in my head to try and get people to buy more when they're talking to me and telling me things, right? So I always start it when people come on, we do everything over Zoom. And hey, how you doing? Most of them haven't met me because I have a photographer, an associate photographer who does most of our sessions. And so I introduced myself. Hey, I'm John, Andrew. Nice to meet you. Your family's photos were amazing. I can't wait for you to see them. I hope you're just as excited as I am. Did you have a great time at your session?
It was awesome, John. Yeah, it was way easier and more fun than I thought it would be.
Oh, great. I'm glad we made it easy on you. Alex is great, and he got some great photos of you and your family, and I can't wait for you to be able to look at them. Just a couple of notes right before I show you the slideshow here. I just want to take note that none of the photos have been edited. So I just want you to know that we'll do edits on anything that you decide to move forward with or purchase from your session. We just found that, most people have specific edit notes sometimes. And so we're just double editing, and we're editing you have 70 something photos, and we don't want to edit 70 photos and you buy 10. And they're like, I've never had somebody complain about that, by the way. I've always had them say, nope, that makes sense. Cool. Awesome. So if you see lights in the background, or if you see the background coming off onto the wall, just ignore that. It won't look like that. We'll extend the background. We'll get rid of the lights. We'll also do any kind of retouching on anything that you decide to purchase. Okay.
Sounds great.
So this is just a chance for you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the photos that we captured of you and your family together. You don't have to worry about picking anything right now. We'll go through the photos more individually here in a little bit. All right. So I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to turn off my video because I don't want you to see my ugly mug while you're looking at your beautiful photos. And you can enjoy these photos. Okay. I'll be back in a minute. All right. So then I mute myself, turn off my video. I'm not going to do that for this purposes, for training purposes. And then I share my screen, and I already had that logo ready to go. I click the space bar. I click the screen, and it does the whole thing, right?
So so John, this is showing the album now.
Yes, it is. And I forgot one thing you have to do that most people don't realize this when you're doing Zoom sales, and I didn't do this, is when you go to share your screen, I can't show you this, but I can tell you this. When I go to click share, there's a button on the right side that says share sound. You have to click that button and then share your screen. If I don't, when I just played that, you heard no music, correct?
It just started to come in.
Okay, so you probably heard it from my speakers. You didn't. Well, maybe
Yes.
not.
I think it was.
I didn't mute myself.
Right.
Now you should hear it well.
Okay, this one's for Gabby.
Way better.
Yeah. So you have to click that button. I can't show you because the way Zoom is, they just don't let you show it. So to answer your question, it's going to show the album, the 28 pages or 28 pages of the album. And then it's going to show those 3 wall art things at the end, right? For time purposes, I don't feel like we need to go unless you guys feel like we need to go through the 2-minute slideshow.
No, that's great.
All right, cool. So at the end, they're gonna see this screen at the end because my logo comes up at the end. And when that happens is when I unmute myself and I turn my video back on. And as that's kind of fading out, and the music fades out, I stop sharing and I come back to this view and I'm like, so what did you think? And they're like, oh my God, they're so great. Or, well, okay. And they're crying or whatever, they're loving their photos. And I'm like, awesome. I'm glad you love your photos as much as we do. So did you have any questions over any of the products that we showed you after you left? And do you have any idea of how you want to move forward with your photos? Are you wanting digitals? Are you wanting wall art, albums, portrait boxes, whatever we have to offer? Did you have any questions over any of those products? This is where you get a good idea. And again, I'm a volume photographer. I don't bring people in for pre-consults and have them pick out their stuff before they come in. So this is how I do sales. So for better or for worse, this is a great way to know where they're going with their sale, right? They're going to tell me, I want this package. Great. I know you really looked at the stuff. You really thought about what you wanted to do, and you're gold. I love you. Right? If they say, I really don't know, we didn't really look at anything, I'm sorry, we didn't have time to go over it together, I'm a little worried, because I'm like, okay, great, you didn't go over anything, and I went over it with you, but you guys didn't talk. Or, hey, I just showed this to my husband. That's another red flag that comes up sometimes. And so if the other thing is do you have any questions about the products? Can you show me blah? I have right here next to me, I have all the products that we offer. So I can show them over Zoom, just like if you were to do this in your studio, right? I have everything. I have album. I have matte prints individually. I have a portrait box. The only thing I don't have is full on wall art. I have a small, what we call a tabletop wall art. It's still, this is a canvas, but it's just a little small canvas, right? So this has worked for us, and we've been doing Zoom sessions since, like, I think for the first year I did in-person sales, and then I moved to Zoom sales, and we've not walked away from this. But this is my chance to get a feel for what you want from your session. Andrew, did you have any idea of how you wanted to display your photos in your home, or what you were wanting to do?
I do, and I'm going to ask you that in 1 second, John, but I can tell you there's a lot of stress in the chat about screen sharing, copying what you just showed on the slideshow.
Oh, great. Yes.
You made a lot of people very nervous.
Okay. No, so, okay. Like, I'll put it to you this way. I've been doing this for a long time. Do people screenshot your stuff? There's no way around it. Unfortunately, Zoom doesn't have a thing where it locks it out so they can't screen share. And even if they didn't screen share, they can take their phone and do this, and they can whatever. We've tried before where we say, you know, these are property of John Glaser Photography. Please do not screen share, or blah, blah, blah. You can only do so much, but I'm sitting here I'm screen grabbing right now, and you don't even know it. You know? Yeah. But that is a concern. But honestly, I've been doing this long enough. It doesn't happen as much as you mentally think it does.
Right.
You know, and and honestly, the people that I find that do those kind of things are some of our buyers. They just want to see them and show them to their friends before I give them a chance to have them edited. It happens. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen. I can tell you a story. Recently, I had a person that sent me a drawing of a photo that I thought we selected this photo, and I'm like, no, we didn't. But how did you get it was a perfect drawing, but she did a tracing on her iPad. It was like, how did you get that photo? And it was like perfect drawing. I mean, she goes, I drew this from memory, is what she said. Like, so everybody can address this the way you do. You do you, boo. I'm not going to overstress it. She did buy stuff. She just thought we picked another photo that whatever. And I could get all upset and say, you stole my stuff, and create a bad client relationship. But what I did is I did put a little dig in when I emailed her back. I'm like, wow, you're amazing with your memory. You drew that perfectly. So not a problem if you want to change to the photo or whatever. That's me. I don't have it happen a lot. Yes, it is a concern, but I think it's a concern that you just have to address if you're going to do Zoom. A couple of things that you can do. One, I find having an album view when you're doing the slideshow helps to stop some of that, because they're seeing all the photos, or they're seeing multiple photos at a time and not individual photos. So they're not going to be great photos anyway. Even if they screenshot individual photos, they're not going to be the greatest anyway. But you can watermark them if you wanted to. My thing about watermarking is just like, now you're kind of impeding on what the photo is going to look like when you're actually trying to select them and they're a buyer. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of takes away from the experience. But bottom line, does it happen? Yeah. Can I prove how much it does or doesn't happen? I can't, but I mean, I have a fine sales average, even with zero sales. I mean, I still have zero sales every now and then, but I do fine. You know, I mean,
that's perfect.
We're going to do well this year. So.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I hope that rests people's assurance a little bit.
But. It does. Perfect. Okay, let me take you back. So yes, so we were thinking about a piece for the wall of the three of us. So my wife and the dog, and me. My wife wants all the digitals. She will. I just know that.
Okay.
But maybe a portrait box where we can have a bit of
Okay.
a selection. That's what I'm thinking. What do you think?
Okay.
So
So
my
we
wife's
have
in
some
agreement.
different options. We have some different options that we can do. We do have some packages that include a portrait box and a single image wall art, and we can always increase that wall art. Increase that single image wall art if you would like to, and everything. But what I would like to do, if you're okay with this, is let's go through the photos and find your favorites. And
Mhm.
then I think that'll be a great place to start because, I mean, your wife says that she wants all 70 photos, and I'm happy to sell them to you. But after seeing them all, you might not want all 70, and we have different packages for those kind of things. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, let me share my screen real quick. And we won't do this completely, but what I like to do, and this is a learn in process over time. I used to go through each photo individually and I would say yes or no, yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. But what I found is that was one step too long when you're showing photos. Well, that's just me personally. If it's a family photo, I might not show as many, but I like to show two or three at a time. Um, can you see my screen?
Yes, I'm only seeing a single
I
photo
like
and
to,
the film strip.
yeah. Why is this doing this? Give me 1 second. I'm having technical difficulties. I've had that happen before. Daphne, shush.
That's the dog, not your wife, right?
Daphne, hey. Sorry, Amazon came to deliver a package. I know what's going on. All right, so up here, this is back to training on so you have these different things up here. So on the top left, I can show photos like this, and I can make them really big or I can make them really small, right? Here, I'm showing it in a film strip view, but I can't do an A and B look to it. If I go to A and B, I can do film strip view and show you multiple at a time. That's what I was messing up, right? I didn't realize it was switched to that, right? So those are little things that you can use up here. I usually use this one with the grid or this. I mostly use the A and B, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I like to do is I like to show people two or three at a time from the same group of photos. So this first set is the three of them together. So I'll probably just show two at a time, right? And then I say to the client, so I'm going to go through this the first time through. We're going to go 2 stars to anything that you like. And if you don't like it, we're just going to move on. You can like multiple in a set. You can like none in a set. It's totally up to you. I'm not offended or hurt. If you don't like a photo, it's not going to hurt my feelings. So don't feel like you're hurting my feelings. And I feel like that's something that I've started saying over time that makes people, because there's some clients that are going to feel that they're hurting your feelings by telling you they don't want that image. And you take that pressure away from them by saying something like that to them, right? Again, these haven't been edited, so just take that into consideration. Kind of like here, we brighten up your face a little bit on the final edits and all that kind of stuff. All right, so any photo out of these two?
The right one.
The right one, okay. What about these two?
I love the right one, but not for the wall, I don't think. So probably
Maybe
left.
for the portrait box or some of the
Yes.
digitals or something? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
but I like the left one.
You like the left one too?
Yeah.
All right, cool. And so now I'm going to show 3 here.
Okay, I love the left one.
Okay, so you get the idea of
yeah,
this,
and the middle one.
right?
Okay,
You
I'm picking too many. I'm picking too many already.
No, you're good. But you get the idea of this, right? Does anybody
Yeah.
have any questions with this methodology? And I'm going to show you why I do 2 stars here in a second. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through these photos really quick, and I'm just going to randomly 2-star some of them, like we've gone through this whole thing. So I'm going to do what I just did, and I'm going to go through everything 2 or 3 at a time, and we're going to 2-star all the photos that you love from the session. All right. And we're going to get to the end of the film strip. I'm going to show these last 3, and you're going to go, oh, I'm not going to show all 3 of these. I love those 2. Great. All right. Now I'm going to go to filter, and I'm going to go to 2-star. Great. You have 39 images that you selected from your first round. All right. The nice thing about Andrew is he's already told me he wants some wall art and he wants a portrait box. So then that's when I would display, here's our packages. I'm going to show you guys my packages. I don't care. It's not secret. We do have some package options that come with the portrait box. And you said that was one of the things that you said is you really like the portrait box. So we have a 10 count portrait box and a 16 by 24 piece of wall art, or a 15 count portrait box and a 24 by 36, and so on and so forth. We have individual items down here, and we have our digital only options and stuff. So because you said you wanted a portrait box, a question I like to ask is having them in print or having them digital more important to you?
Yeah, we want some prints because we might give some of these as gifts.
Okay, cool. So let's focus on. We'll probably do one of these. We don't have to select everything now, but let's let's maybe pare it down a little bit photo wise. Would you agree with that, or do you think we need to? You want to keep 39 photos?
No, let's draw it down a little bit.
Okay, so again, they've already seen the pricing, so it shouldn't be a shock to them. But this is another place where it's like if they didn't really look and do their homework and didn't take the picture and didn't look at everything, that's where they go, oh, wow, I didn't realize the pricing was so expensive. Because some people, depending on how you do your business, that's going to happen.
So do you have a canned answer for that? Oh, John, I didn't expect it was going to be that expensive.
I apologize. We do our best to try and send this stuff to you before the session, even before you come in. I mean, we send you guys to our investment page with our average sale, our starting prices and stuff, and we send that to you in text and emails and stuff. Did you not see any of that? And 99.9% of the time, the answer is no, I'm sorry, I didn't read any of that stuff prior to coming in for the session. Right. So that's the way we deflate it. We actually do. We send them before they come in for their session, before they book their session. We share this information, but sometimes I think on one of your podcasts that I did with you, you could tattoo this stuff onto some people and they will not even read it if it's tattooed to their body. So
Got it.
It's impenetrable.
All right, perfect. Let's keep going then. That's great.
So the next round of going through the photos, I tell them, I'm going to show you probably more out of a set so we can pare it down and you can see the similarities and differences of a set of photos. And the same thing that we did last time, we're going to, if you like it, we're going to move it to the next round and I'm going to make it a 3-star. If you don't like it, I'm going to move it to a 1-star. The reason being is if you have, let's say you want to do a 20 count portrait box and we end up with 19 photos. I don't have to go back to all the photos and we go through them. We're just going to go look at the 1-stars and pick one of those photos to bring back into this. But you wanting to do some wall art, so you'll get the photos in the portrait box, but you'll also get the photos in the wall art, and anything you purchase with us, you'll get the matching digital of anything that you purchase as well. So if you're looking for prints, let's worry about the prints and the number of photos that you would love have printed, and you're going to get the digitals of those as well. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, cool. So the same kind of thing, anything you like out of this, and you can like multiple, you can like all of them, you can magically not like any of them this time around.
Okay, so the left two.
The left two. So I'm going to mark those 3-star,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to move this to a 1-star. Then I go to the next one, and I'm going to actually throw the one with your, all three of you in, or like both sets of couples here.
Okay, bottom left, top right.
Bottom left, top right.
And bottom right.
And bottom right. All right. So you see what we're doing this next round. The nice thing about doing it the way I'm doing it also by going to 3-star and 1-star is throughout the film, throughout this part, I will click this filter thing twice and all the images that are gone to another round are no longer in the film strip at the bottom. So I know I've gone through all of them with you.
Right. So, okay, right.
That's just a little trick of the trade. Does everybody understand that?
So it's only showing 2 stars in the film strip now because you've changed the
yes, because I've changed it to 3 and 1, and I know I've shown you all the photos,
yep.
Right?
Got it.
So I'll do the same thing here.
Top right and top middle.
Top middle. Okay. I'm going to move these to 1-star. And this method, I mentioned this to you, makes this session go so fast by doing it this way. Now I'm going to show you more here. If you need to see them bigger, just let me know. And I can make the image a little bit bigger because I'm showing you a lot. Another thing that I'll do at this point too, if it's a lot of photos, is if you press the N key on your keyboard, it brings up the name of the file. at the bottom of it. So I might tell them, hey, this time around, because you have 6 here, instead of us getting confused, underneath each one of the images is at the last 3 numbers is the number image. So you can tell me number image, or you can say top left, bottom right.
Okay, so 404, bottom left,
Okay.
and top middle are my 2 favorites.
Okay. And I'm going to take these out. All right. And I'm going to show you a little bit more here because there's quite a number of you with your wife and the dog.
Yeah. So 495, which is second on the top.
And the other thing too is to make these a little bit bigger. As you tell me you like something or take it away, I'm going to take it out of this so you have less to look at.
Okay, right.
That's another, like getting in John's head. I'm going to make it a little easier for you on the sales side. And if I'm wanting to buy more images, I won't do that. You know what I'm saying? So if they told me I just want 5 digitals, I'm going to do that more because I want to get it done as fast as possible and get them down to their 5. If they're saying I want to buy a bunch of images, I'm going to keep that image there on the screen as long as possible and not delete it like I just showed you.
Okay. So here I'd say, John, I really like top left and bottom right, but they're quite similar. Do I have to choose which one's my favorite now?
No, you can pick multiple, and we can always pare it down later, or figure out what we're going to do with it once we get to the end, because it might end up being a nice wall art piece or something. Okay. We don't know what orientation you want, so we can pick both of those. Anything else?
Sorry, so it's top left, bottom right.
Oh, top left, bottom right. My
Yes.
bad. Thanks for fixing that. Anything else?
No, I think they're my favorites.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, and we're gonna just do these last. What about these?
Bottom left, love that. Top right and top middle, not sure between those two, but I like them both.
Okay, we'll hold on to both of those. All right, and then we have the 2 of the pup.
The right one.
All right, we'll take your knees out of this one, so don't worry about that.
Didn't even see it.
And what about these?
Top left, I like.
Okay.
The one where we're both kissing the dog, so the third one along.
Okay.
And I think bottom left is cute.
Okay.
And maybe top right.
Okay. And I just want to stop real quick and pause here because I know there's probably some people asking, why are you showing so many and trying to cull them down so fast? That process, honestly, for me, methodically, is going to change depending on what they've told me up to this point in the sales session. If they told me, like, you're a big seller, I might not normally show as many photos at the same time, right? Because I want you to keep as many photos as possible, right? And that's just a strategy, right? Where if somebody says, I want a 10 count portrait box and they're set that, like, they've told me their budget is this much and they can only get this much or whatever, I might show them more photos to try and pare them down faster because they've already told me they can't afford 30 photos. So why waste our time trying to get them further down? Now, I get it. There's a balance between somebody that says, I want to do 10 photos versus somebody that might spend $10,000 with you. And I'm going to look at those a little bit differently. However, even when I found, like yesterday, for example, I had somebody that says, I can only afford your 5 digital package. Great. Let's go through these. I went through them multiple times with her. We got down to 13 images. And this is my methodology, and this is the way I do it. If you don't think this is right, I'm sorry. We got to 13 images. She's already told me she wants to buy 5. And I knew because of how many times we've gone through this, it was going to be hard to get down to 5. Right? I always encourage them. I say, we can get down to 5 if you want to. However, you're at 13 photos right now. And we have a 10 package. And if you would like to do the 10 package, I will throw the 3 extra photos in for no extra charge. And
I
she'll be
love
like,
that.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I
let's
love that.
do it. So now I've just got her up to a package that she originally said she couldn't afford, but yeah, she feels like she got more value because it's three more digitals, and it's digitals. It doesn't cost me an arm and a leg to print them or anything like that, right? And same methodology, let's say they did a portrait box, right? I want to do a portrait box. I don't do a 5 count portrait box. So let's say it's a 10 to 15, right? She says she wants to do a 10 count portrait box. And I say, we get to 17 photos, right? I said, well, what if we did this? If you buy the 15 count portrait box, I'll give you 2 of the photos digitally. They just won't be in the portrait box. Does that sound good to you? And they'll be like, absolutely. Now I've just upsold her to the 15 count portrait box, made more money, and all I'm giving away is 2 digitals, right? And they feel like they just scored 2 extra photos that they weren't going to get by getting a 10 count portrait box. Any questions on any of that?
No, you're getting a lot of people agreeing they do something similar. Ian Sims says he loves the low pressure, this sales of your process. No slimy tricks, just helping them choose how it should be. That's exactly right. This is really terrific, John.
Awesome. So now, like, this is great because you understand this is portrait box digital. This is kind of the methodology of where I would be. But now here's how I'm going to sell you to buy a bigger piece of wall art, right? And this is how do you price your digital packages? I'm sorry, I'm looking on the side. I just happened to, I can show that here in a minute, but like they're priced by 5, 10, 15 in all, I think, or 20 in all. I don't know. Let's see here. So let's go out of this. So now I know you want to do some wall art. And then I'll ask, do you know what rooms you want to be in, and like any kind of particular, like over the fireplace, over a couch or whatever? What are you thinking, Andrew?
Yeah, something in the living dining room, sort of where we have the kitchen
Okay.
table, where we see it all the time.
Okay. So if I have one, so I know this might not be your dining room, but let's just use this as the example. And if you have a photo you can send me, you can send it to me. This is where I would ask that question, because you've told me a specific place you want to have a photo, right?
Mhm.
But if they don't, some people are at work during a Zoom session and they can't send me a photo. So I'll say, is your dining room kind of look like this? And they're like, yeah, it kind of looks like this or whatever. But we at least gives you the idea,
Right.
right?
It's basically a plain white wall that we have,
Okay.
that you can see from the kitchen, and it's above a dining room table.
Okay,
So,
cool.
but any white wall.
Okay. So, did you have an idea of what you're wanting to do, like photo wise here, like a family photo, or did you want to do like a collage, or
Well,
like the collection type of thing?
we love the idea of a single photo, but now having seen all the photos, that might be difficult. So maybe a collection, I think you
Okay,
called it.
so let me explain the difference between these. So this is a single image, obviously, and we can do all different kinds of sizes. This one is a 24 by
So
36.
you're not sharing a screen yet, John?
Oh, I'm not. I'm sorry. Thank you. Sorry, peeps.
That's okay. Perfect.
So this one's a single image over a dining room table or whatever. And so that's what a single image is. These are collections. And so you saw a few of these in the studio. They're very big. They're each individual pieces. So the nice thing about this, and this is a sales type of thing that I like to do, is you get some value out of this because you get 5 big pieces here, and they don't have to sit here like this. That's how they're designed. But what some people will do is put this one above the couch and then put these 4 like in a hallway or down the stairs or something like that. Totally your freedom, right? Because it's each individual pieces. This one here is a collage. Collages are single pieces with multiple photos, and we can do different kind of designs. Here's some of the layouts that we have. The most popular we have are the 20 by 20, 30 by 30, or 40 by 40. To be honest, 20 by 20 is kind of small, and it's really if you're going to put it into a small specific place. But this here is representing a 40 by 40, and I'll just show you the difference. And this is part of that sales strategy of like, oh yeah, I don't want to buy a 20 by 20. Look how small it is, right?
Tiny.
So Did you have a preference between one of those three types for
Yeah,
that room?
we definitely want to go landscape. I really like the look of that. I think you called it a collection.
The this here or the
No,
previous
the other
page?
one, like that. That looks great.
This. Okay, great. So I'm going to take this photo out of here and I'm going to bring in that collection that you talked about. Our collections, because they're really big, this collection, just FYI, is about 7,500 and some change, but it also comes with 30 digitals from your session if you just did that collection. If you wanted to do a package, we would package. We have our packages that I showed you, but we can customize a package for you as well. All right. But just so you know, when you buy the bigger collection, I don't want you to walk away with just 5 photos. So I give you 30 digitals along with it, so that you can enjoy some of those photos digitally, but you also get this beautiful piece that you can have in your home. Makes
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, it's a little bit more than we want to spend, but let's design this. We'll have a look and then we'll have a chat.
Sounds good. But I mean, again, the other side of it too is if you're new to sales, saying what I just said with confidence and letting Andrew say what he said is key, right? Because if you say it, um, here's one of the things that people do wrong a lot in sales is they overtalk things and they talk in an apologetic way, right? So I said $7,500 and some change confidently because I've shared this pricing with you. So you should already see it. So you should already know it. If you didn't see it, that's on you. You know, Andrew hasn't seen it because we haven't talked about this. He didn't go through my whole processes, but say it confidently and don't keep talking over it. Another thing photographers do, and this is again the education side of it is, yeah, they explain why it's 7,500 bucks. You know, it's Italian made, it's canvas, and our canvas is like beautiful and it's wrapped around and everything's handmade and blah 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 blah. You're being apologetic to what you're selling them. Just tell them it's a wall art. You get to choose the finish. You don't have to tell them all the particulars because it just sounds like you're like, I'm sorry it costs this much and I have to explain to you why. You don't need to. Just tell them this how much it costs. Does that
So,
make
John,
sense?
it does. John, what if I had to said to you, "Ooh, there's a little bit more than I wanted to spend. I saw there's some other collections. Are they different prices? Or I can't remember the prices of
So the
those."
way, and this is something I'm testing right now. I honestly, I'll tell you guys, I don't sell a lot of these,
Right.
but I put it on my price page just to have a something large so that everything else looks like, oh, that's not so bad, type of thing. If you were to say that's kind of expensive, I don't know if I can do that. I would say not a problem. Here, let me show you another option that might be a little bit more affordable. And I have designed these on my own, right? You can design these and save these by pinning them, and everything. But we have these in the studio as well. So this is a 60 by 30. It's a little bit smaller than what I just showed you, obviously, but it is a composite. And so it's not as much money, for it, but you still get 5 photos and it's a similar design to what you have, but you still get something that's like this. This one, you only get 15 digitals versus the other one where you get 30, but you can still have something nice on your wall, right? And it's a 60 by 30.
Got it. Okay. Let's go with this.
Okay, sounds great. So you guys wore a couple of different outfits. You have this white, like little more casual outfit. You have the more formal outfit, and then you have like the black shirts and stuff that you did. Did you have a preference of like what kind of look you would want to have here?
Yeah, I like us in the dark blue and the dark background.
Okay.
So the
So we have
ones,
a couple of options. I'm assuming you want in the middle, you want like a family photo.
yes, yes.
Okay, so probably one of the best ones would probably be this if you don't
Yep.
disagree with
I
me there.
like that.
I'm going to turn the number off, and I always explain things when I do things with people. I'm going to turn the numbers off so you don't see that underneath there anymore.
Where,
The
where
other
did you
thing,
where did you do that?
I press the N key, like we
Right.
talked about before, where you can
Mhm.
see the numbers of the photo. The other thing, when you're showing wall art, you can press the S key, and you can see what size the wall art piece is.
Right.
If you press S, you can see the wall art size. If you press N, you can see the photos numbers,
Cool.
right? So Do you like that image? You think
Yeah,
that you can
I
also
love
bring
that.
this up here so we can see it nice and big,
Yeah.
right?
So I'm thinking
What
one
do
of, yeah, so one
you
of
go?
me with the dog, one of my wife with the dog.
Okay, so we have this one, and you can always change these. I'm just going to throw them in here,
Hmm.
and I'm going to kind of design something. And if you don't like it, you're always welcome to poo-poo on it and tell
And
me it sucks.
and then more of a laughing, fun one with the
More
dogs.
of a laughing, fun one.
Yeah.
So let's
Or
see.
snuggling.
We don't have anything in the blue suit. Are you okay with going with something a little bit different, like one of these ones with the black?
Yeah, that's gonna work, I think.
All right. So here's another thing I really like about Fundy too. That doesn't look very good, right?
Hmm.
Not a problem. Oh, do that. Let's bring this in so it's a little bit more proportional.
Hmm.
That, I'm always asking the client along the way. Does that look
Yeah,
good to you?
yeah,
You
heaps
like
better.
that?
That's heaps better.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then do you want to do like a individual of the dog down here?
Sure.
Maybe, oh, this is a great example. How about this little headshot? But instead of this, let's do this.
Yeah, that's better. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe we should put another one of just the dog in the top right. I'm not crazy
In the
about the
top
black.
right?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the black.
Okay. So how about this one of the
Yeah,
dog?
cool.
And I would do this one is maybe bring it up a little bit. But I'm hoping people are seeing like how quickly and fast and easy it is for me to do these designs with them for the wall art so that I can go, okay, this is great. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit. This is getting into the head again, like going to the education side of things. Let's say um, I started by saying uh, you wanted to do a 20. I also sell this as a 42 by 22. And they're like, oh, I really like the price of the 42 by 22. Right. And I designed the 42 by 22 and I show it to them and they're like, yeah, it's kind of small. Right. And I tell them, I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. I should know these things. I'm sorry, I don't. I pull up my pricing sheet and I say a 42 by 22 is $23.99. And for about $900 more, you can do the 60 by 30 version. Do you have a preference?
Yeah, the 60 by 30. It looks better in that
Okay.
on that wall.
And those of you that are watching that have never used a program like this is why you use this program, to be honest. Like if you're using Lightroom, this is what is hurting you because you can't do this part in Lightroom. Very easy, where I can put it in here and I just made $900 more from Andrew because I showed him, oh, that makes more sense over that table than the smaller piece that he had me show him, right? Um, cool. So you happy with that right there?
Yeah, love it.
All right. So you get 15 digitals, five of them, four of them are in here. So you get another 11 of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to 4-star any of the digitals that are in here or any of the, let's see here, number. So I'm going to 502. I'm going to 4-star any of the photos that are in here. All right. 312, 644, 535. All right, cool. So let's go back. So you have 4 photos. Now we're going to pick 11 more that you're going to get digitally. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, cool. And then we're going to do the same kind of thing what we've been doing, right? Um, any of these, any of that, blah, 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 blah.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. And then after we get done doing that, is there anything else? I know you mentioned you would like a portrait box. Would you like to do a portrait box as well with some of the images?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we have, I mean, you can do 11 more images. So we have a 10 count portrait box. Do you want to do that? Or we have 16 images here. You want to do a 16 count portrait box with the remaining images? We can't do a 16, but I can do like a 15 and give one extra matte or an extra digital. What would work for you?
Well, so am I going to use the ones because I've already picked my favorites? Can I use my favorites in the box?
You can if you want. So when you say, sorry, back up. When you say you like your favorites, is that the ones that are in the wall art? I'm talking the ones that aren't in the wall art.
Not the wall art, but you know how I've just picked a whole lot of digitals.
Yeah. So these 16 here, down
Yes.
here at the bottom
Okay.
are the remaining photos after we took out the ones that are in the wall art.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yes.
So
So
we have
then,
16 more photos left.
right.
If you wanted to do a 15 count portrait box, which is like we could do them in sets of 5.
Okay.
So I could do a 15 count portrait box. And then if you would like, and I'm saying this is again getting in my head here. I'm saying this because Andrew just bought a big piece of wall art and he's going to buy a portrait box. So I'm like, if I give you an extra matte print, whatever,
Sure.
I'll be happy to throw in another matte print. So
So
the 16, if you want to do the 15 count portrait box, we can get all 15 of these and then I'll throw in an extra matte print. It just won't fit in the portrait box, but you can frame it. It's a normal frame sized image. Does that work for
yeah,
you?
that's great. Well, because I can give that as a gift. We want to do that anyway.
Great. So what I did there is I didn't go through all the photos again. I just said, he said, yes, I'll take those. And you just gave me a deal or whatever, and now I'm putting together my invoice. Right. And putting all those kind of things together. Everybody's invoices are going to be different, so I'm not going to really go into those kind of things. But I hope some of these sales strategy type of things and like how I got Andrew to go up a little bit bigger and hey, you have 16 photos left. What do you want to do with them? I mean, and he gets 15 as part of the wall art piece, but I just got him to buy a 15 count portrait box and he still gets the digitals of those. But anyway, I do have sometimes people say, well, I do get 15 digitals with this. Can we go back and pick out some more digitals? Dude, Andrew just spent, if you take my, the 60 by 30 was 3,200 and the portrait box was 2,600. The guy just spent, $6,000 ish or whatever around there. Yeah, let's go back and pick a couple more digitals. I'm happy to throw in some extra digitals for somebody that spends $6,000-7,000 with me. That's just me, If you don't agree with that, don't judge.
So, look, that was super easy easy to spend. Like you
Yes.
made it easy to buy.
Yes.
So tell me, John. So once we've agreed, we're excited, we're happy. Like, what do you do next? Do you actually bring up an invoice?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So what I do is, for me personally, because of my processes and the way I have things, and this is a great thing to show, like it just helps for ease. I use Graphy Studio. So what I did is, so this is the pricing sheet. Like this is the link that everybody gets to my pricing, right? Like all my clients do, and it goes through. But down here, it's got a detailed pricing and products page. So if I go to that, it's the same pricing, but there's pictures of it. So like if people will text me and say, hey, I don't remember what that thing looked like. Go to the detailed pricing page and you can see what it looks like. Right. So if they don't remember what is a portrait box, and then they can, oh, that's what that thing was that they showed me at the studio. Right. But then what I also have in here is this link here. So if you bought a portrait box, I'm going to get these details from you and put it in my invoice. So what color do you want your portrait box, Andrew? And then he'll tell me the color. And then down here, I said, you can customize it. At the bottom, we can, put a little, Hellmich 2025, Hellmich family 2025, or your dog's name or whatever. Do you have a preference? And for me, I don't charge any extra for any of these things. And I tell them that anything I show you is not any extra charge. It's all included in the price, right? These are just options. If you want to do it, you can do it. And they tell me what those things are. And they tell me, oh, this Zapfino is the people's favorite. Oh, like Zapfino, how much? 2025. And I put that in the invoice, yada, yada, yada. All right. For your wall art, we have a couple of options, and I show them like most of our wall art. I'm going to just share my most of our wall art is mounted on these boxes like this, and the piece sits on top. Or we also have a framing option. I don't have an example of that here, so I usually show them a page from my from Graphy Studio's website that shows them it's a float frame option that we started offering. But then I ask them, what color do you want? If it's the float frame, it's one of these. and then I get them to commit to that. And then what kind of finish do you want? Do you want canvas? Do you want acrylic? And this is all stuff we went over in the studio. Sometimes they might be like, what's the difference between all of them? Because they just don't know, you know. And so I tell them, you know, canvas is like kind of, ours canvas is kind of leathery to the touch and feel. Acrylic looks like it's behind glass. We have two different kinds of acrylics, matte acrylic versus shiny, you know, like the traditional shiny acrylic. Matte's going to be not as shiny. And we do metal. I don't recommend metal. Like if it's somebody that usually metal is for my senior photography clients. I don't usually do it in the studio very often. But we show them, we have a whole wall in our studio and it's got the same photo and it's got little pieces like this on a ledge and it's the same photo in every one of the finishes that we do. So they can see acrylic, matte metal, matte metal, canvas. We even have a leather option that Graphy does and it's printed on leather. So we have all those options. We don't, unless somebody says they want the leather. Most people, I've never sold one. I just thought it was cool and I got a sample of it.
So tell me, John, so you bring up, do you actually bring up an invoice or you just give
Yeah, so I'm as I'm asking those questions, I'm on my other screen and I'm putting that in my invoice program. Right. And so I'll just do a test invoice for you real quick. It won't take me long and I won't put all the details. So test invoice.
Do you ask me how I want to pay for that, or if I want to do a payment?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'll do that after I do this part where I'm about to do real quick. Give me 1 second. I'll do this. I'm not going to put all the details type of thing in here, but just so you get an idea of how this goes real quick. Give me a second. 60 by 30. Portrait box. 15. And then we usually, most of our offers is a $250 voucher. So I always put that on there. And then I also put their deposit on here. And our deposit's normally $99. So obviously I put the details in here, but then let me share my screen again. So this is what I'm doing with the client. On my other screen that you don't see, I'm putting this information in. Usually I'm multitasking as they're like, oh, what do you think of that, honey? And blah, blah, blah. And then they're talking about it. I'm on the side adding, okay, they want to do the 60 by 30. They want to do the whatever. And then once it's done, I pull this up and this is in my thing. I confirm their address because we drop ship everything to everybody. And usually there's an address here because that's when they fill out their stuff. But this is a test thing that we use. And then I just go over the invoice with them. So you got the print finish of this, you got the swatch for the box of this, and I'll put that detail in here. You're getting the 15 count portrait box with the swatch. And then I would also include extra matte print in here. I just didn't do it just for time's sake.
Sure.
And then I say, okay, so here's your total. You got your $250 off from your gift voucher. You also got the $99 deposit. Here's your total and everything. But before we take payment, I'm going to take payment here in a moment. Just to go over a couple of terms that are down here at the bottom of your invoice. Give us about a week or two to do your final edits. After we do the final edits, we're going to deliver those to you in an online gallery that you can download. During that time, you can also give us any feedback if you have any feedback on the edits. 99% of the time, most people don't. But if you have something that we missed or you see something that we didn't, feel free to let us know what image it is. And then, and we have a whole process on the tail end that, when we deliver those digitals that explains that. Once we get your approval and we send it to the lab, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks for the lab to deliver. We tell people it's going to take about 10 to 12 weeks from payment to final delivery. Usually it's faster than that, but we like to give ourselves, I'd rather under promise and over perform. So that's another lesson. If you don't know, people, under promise. Don't tell them you're going to get it to them in 4 weeks and it takes 6, because then it makes you look bad. Tell them it's going to take way longer than you think it's going to take, and then they get it in 2, because then they feel like, oh wow, that was fast. Usually we get our stuff back in our digitals to them and within a week, and we tell them 10 to 15 business days. So it gives us 2 to 3 weeks, and we usually get it to them in a week. Mm-hmm. Makes your clients a lot happier. Any questions over any of that, Andrew?
No, this is all good.
Okay, great. So now this is a part where I unshare my screen. How would you like to pay for that? And then they'll tell me,
Credit card.
you'll see on my invoice page, it had a pay now. I'll click that pay now. I'll take their credit card information. I've taken their payment.
Awesome, awesome. So, John, just that was super clear, amazing. I just want to take you back to one thing that you shared with me before your presentation was if I decided I wanted an album, that's when you would just go back to my favorites and let Fundy design an album for me. If I want to take home an album instead of say a
Oh,
portrait
no, that's
box.
a great question. Yes. Sorry. Thank you. I told you I was going to do that and I didn't. Okay, so if Andrew wanted to do an album, that's a great question. With these 16 images that if he didn't want to do a portrait box and he said, I want to do an album, great, let's design an album for you. And so I'm going to close out of this film strip. I'm going to go back into my album that we used for the slideshow, right? I'm going to go to Design Wizard like I did when I designed the album, but I'm going to replace the album. We're going to do the same everything here, but instead of entire collection, I'm going to use the 3-star images from the collection. That's the 16 images that we didn't put in the wall art. What I would do if somebody wanted to do an album, I would even offer up to put those 5 images that were on the wall art in the album. That's me. And usually they say, "Oh, that'd be great."
So
Right?
how do you add those as well, John? Is that an
So if I
option?
did that, I would just change all the star ratings to the same rating.
Okay.
But we don't design. So I'm showing you this if you wanted to design the album with them. We don't design the album. We don't sell a lot of albums for families, but we don't design them during the sales session. We do it afterwards. I'm showing you if you wanted to do it, this is a way to do it, and you can do it pretty quickly and efficiently, right? So you'll notice here when I change it to 3-star only, it says total images is 16. This is where you got to know where your lab is and what they can and can't do. My lab doesn't like you to go under 20 pages. So I can do it with 16. I just would have a lot of double page spreads, right? And I'd probably move this to 2 images per spread and go to it's saying 40 pages. Never mind. I didn't change what I just told you to change.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Change to, let's say 20. Do the entire collection. Let's do 3 stars. I'm going to change this to 2. Then design. So now it's designed it. Obviously, okay, we're going to put something like this on the front page. And then I'm just going through it with them. What do you guys think? And kind of tweaking and stuff if I were to do this. Right.
But you would probably be starting with more images if you knew you were going to be designing.
Yeah. So that's a great point too. If somebody says, I want to do an album, they only had 16, I would definitely say, hey, let's use the 5 that's in your wall art so that we can fill out the book a little bit more. Because then you'll have 21 images, and which makes more sense. If they had 10 images total and they said they wanted to do an album, I just tell them, I'm like, yeah, sorry, albums aren't really designed for 10 images. It's more like along the lines of the portrait box or something like that. I've never had somebody say that. Like usually if they're down to 10 images, they're not asking for an album. They're asking for something else, but that's a great question.
Awesome. John, mate, this is absolutely incredible. I'm going to open this up to Q&A to everyone in just a second. Is there anything else that you wanted to add before we do open it up?
No, I mean, I just hope everybody got something out of this.
Oh, mate, that was killer.
And the stuff that I say, you can see that it just rattles off my tongue because I say it the same thing every single time. I don't use a script. My script is in my head. I say the same thing every single time, so it just rolls off my tongue, and it's pretty interesting. I don't know if she's still here, but my new salesperson is in this, and she actually recorded one of our training sessions of me doing a sale with her, and she transcribed the whole thing and has pretty much memorized it for herself. She is, hey, I'm here.
she's been answering lots and lots of questions. I do have one more question for you, and I'm going to be hopefully we can be diplomatic enough to not offend Robin. But before I ask you that, just if you're still on the call, please use the chat window. This is going to be super helpful for me and for John. Just let us know what you thought of the training. Please just give me a sentence, a few words, whatever you want. Just give me something about the training. And then we're going to open this up to questions. So let us know what you thought of the training. Remember, this is 100% free. John just shared everything off his back. And that was, to me, that was incredible. So massive thanks, John. Super appreciate what you shared.
Owen, I see your question. That's a great question. So when you design it in Fundy, Owen's question is if you design in Fundy and you design the wall art in Fundy and then you go and edit the photos and then you bring them back, will it change the design? The answer is no. Unless you crop the image weird when you do the edit, it's going to make it weird. If you keep the image the exact same way you orientation that you edit it, once you edit, export that edit, put it in a folder, make sure that the name of the file is the same name that you had. Don't put, like usually if you edit in Photoshop from Lightroom, it puts a dash edit at the end. You got to take that dash edit out. It has to be the exact same name of what you did. Then you go back into Fundy, and up here where it says images, go to resync image, and then you go to whatever that edit folder is, find it on your computer, and then press open, and it'll resync, and it'll resync all those images. Then you can go back to your wall art, and it should be the same at that what you designed and approved with your client during the sales session, right? And then after you're done here, I can go up here, I can export, order for print, and I just click on the room here, and then I export it into wherever location I want to, and it's going to do a full size version of it, export it, and then that's how we do it, and then we send it off to the lab. That version of it. I don't have to go back into Photoshop and do some weird design in Photoshop. I just do it straight off of Fundy. And the nice thing is, like I said, we have designed it for them right there. So I don't have to go back and get another proof. This is the proof. Sometimes I'll have clients that will say, hey, can I just see the wall art one more time before we, do the final approval? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'll send it to them. Very rarely do they say, hey, can we adjust something or whatever. Every now and then it does happen. But if they do, then I offer to get on a quick 30-minute Zoom call. And, I'm about customer service. I want my clients are spending a lot of money and I want them to feel valued at the end of the day, and I hope you all do too.
Awesome. Let me hit you with one question just before I do, John. If you're still on the call or you're catching the replay, if someone's looking at moving over to Fundy or trying it, there's certainly a free trial. But if you use the promo code PhotoBizX, I believe they've set up a 30% off for the lifetime of your subscription with Fundy. And there's nothing in this for me. They're not sponsoring this. I just told them we're doing it, and they put together that promo code. Nothing in this for John either. But if you want to try it, there's a free trial, then you can get 30% off for the life if you use that promo code PhotoBizX. John, my question for you before I open it up to everyone else. I expect that if you train someone else to do your sales for you, they're not going to get the same sales average as you. Do you have an idea of where they tend to not get the same kind of sale as you do, the same sales average? Is there something they're doing different or wrong?
So Robin hasn't been told this because I didn't want to give her any kind of false input or anything. But my experience was I did have a salesperson before. Unfortunately, she decided to move on a while back, and then I was doing sales for myself for a long time. But her sales averages were in line, if not better than mine.
That's a surprise.
My theory behind that, to be honest, is it takes me completely out of the equation, and I have no emotion in it anymore.
Right.
As the photographer.
Okay. Well, that's really encouraging.
And as the business owner, right? So that's my theory. I don't know how much truth there is to it, but when I had my previous person, she did just as good, if not better than me. I didn't see any dip. I had charts and everything, even tracked perfect by photographer. and who did what, and everybody was pretty much all in line and the same. It didn't matter if it was John doing it, and that was a misnomer. Like anybody that wants to grow their business, it's like my name's on the marquee in front of my studio, and I always thought if John wasn't doing the photos, nobody would want to be there, and it's not true. Like
Unreal.
it's like Olin Mills didn't do Olin Mills photos for all over the country when Olin Mills decided to franchise out.
That is true. That's true. Mate, that's encouraging and somewhat scary for Robin. So no pressure, Robin.
Don't be scared, Robin. It's
That's
all
right.
good.
All right, let's open this up. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand. If you bring your cursor down to the bottom of the screen, there's an option there to raise your hand, and you can come off mute, ask your question. Otherwise, feel free to use the chat window if you do have a follow-up question. Just while I'm waiting for those, massive thanks if you left a comment in there, just thanking John, thanking me, and giving your thoughts about the training. If you haven't done that, please do that. Love to hear your feedback on what John had to share. So yeah, any questions from anyone? And I've got to say, it's so good to see so many familiar names and some faces. I'm looking at Darko here. Darko was really so good to me and Linda when we were in Croatia. I think it was last year or even the year before. He showed us around, which is yeah, it's amazing to see you here, buddy. And so many other familiar names. If you have a question, please.
And I'll say too, I'm humbled by some of the names that I'm seeing in here that you're in my training.
And you're not talking about Richard Grenfell there either.
I think he left to go take some selfies.
Probably right.
Andrew, sorry.
Yes.
Oh, it's Paul here, Andrew. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Paul. Fire away with your question.
Yeah, just wondering, John, whether you sell the digitals same price as the printed image, or you have them cheaper?
So all my digitals, like I have digital pricing, and the way I do my pricing is like I do it in a way that's encouraging you to go to the next level, and it makes sense. That's just me. And I also put it so like I want my digitals to be enticing for people that want to. This is a change of how I've done a philosophy over the year. I always wanted people to have prints, but I've learned that people really want digitals a lot of times, and they don't want the prints. So I don't mark up my prints way above what the digitals are, because it's like it encourages them. I'll just buy the digitals. Great. That's less work on my part.
Oh.
I do warn them. I say, our lab is going to be higher quality than a commercial lab, but you're more than welcome to buy the digitals. They're full size files and everything. But but anything that they purchase, like you heard me probably, if you missed it, I did tell Andrew anything that he purchased, he would get the digital of anything that he purchased. So like he got that album or that portrait box with the 16 photos and the 5 on the wall. So he gets 21 digitals out of that. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks. John, how many people do you have on your team? I know there's Ricky and there's Robin. Is there anyone else?
Ricky does all my edits and ordering. Robin is my salesperson. Alex is my associate photographer. And then I have Kelly, who's my studio manager.
Got it. Okay, fantastic. There's a question here. When you are resyncing, can you confirm you are going back into Lightroom, editing, re-exporting the JPEGs, and then going back to Fundy to sync the edits?
Correct. And then when you go and re-export those JPEGs out of Lightroom, I don't do this. Ricky, my editor, does all this stuff, but I mean, I do know how it works. But when you export it out of Lightroom, if you edited it in, or if you duplicate a photo and it puts the -2, or if you edited it in Photoshop and brought it back into Lightroom, it's going to put -edit at the end of that. After you export it, you're going to need to take those -whatevers out and make sure you put it in a separate folder. Like we say finished edits, and we put it in a separate folder so we know that that's where we're going when we go to resync. But you have to make sure you take those extra things off of the line or off of the title or whatever your image name is, because if that's still on there, it won't sync that image. And you'll know that it's synced because underneath here, I can show you an example. I'm going to take all these images that we use for the course, and I'm going to throw them into a different, and you'll be able to, I just want to show you so you can move. All right. So I'm going to move all the images to a different folder. Oh, and I want to show you one more thing. Sorry, I just saw this. So moved. Oh, it's going to make a liar out of me. So there will be like a little orange circle that usually is on the thing here, and that means it's not synced. I don't know why it's not doing it now. Maybe because it's still in the same folder. It's a subfolder. I don't know, but you'll know it's not synced because it'll have a little orange circle that says it's not synced. But while we're here, I forgot to show you this, and this is really cool, especially if you're doing in-person sales in your studio and you're wanting to sell wall art, right? So when you go into the wall art and you click this little ruler here, it's going to bring up this screen on your wall. Like let's say you're using a projector, right? And this is going to come up on your wall in your projection room. If you click calibrate, all you have to do is go and measure this with a tape measure, measure this line and say how big it is. And it's going to be to scale on the wall in your studio. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So this is really good if you're doing in-person sales and you have a projector or something and you want to show this big on the wall, because it's going to be the size that they're going to see it in their home real time. And I'll give you an example. I did a sale where we actually, like, I don't do this on a regular basis, but we did a sale where we had this woman. I'm going to change files here real quick. She came into the studio. We designed, this is her actual stairwell, right? And we designed this in the studio with her. I went to her home. Her dog was really old. She didn't feel like it was going to go to the studio well. And so I went out to their home and did a session. She was a high-end client and she wanted this in her stairwell. I'm like, great, let's design this thing. And we did it. And we did it in Fundy. And this is the actual picture of it in their home.
Wow.
That's after it's been installed. So it's almost identical. So that's the power of having Fundy, because they can really envision, or a platform like this, so they can really envision what it looks like in their home. And this is that other picture was after it was installed. So
Very cool. John, just a question there. In the album layout, when you did the original slideshow, I don't know if you still have access to that. Can you, with Fundy, randomize the pages so it shows the slideshow in a different order to the way it's? Can you shuffle it?
that is a great question. I've never done
So that,
that. Let me look.
I know that Richard Grenfell, he likes to show his slideshow at the beginning to his clients out of order. So it's.
Yeah, no, and when I used to use Pro Select, I like to do it out of order too. But I was showing individual images, not in a slideshow, or like a album view. I don't have an answer to that question, and I've never tried to do that. So I'd be lying to you if I told you otherwise. So I apologize. No, I don't have the answer to that question.
Okay, so is the best way to find answers like that is to email Fundy and ask them?
Yeah, so there's two places to go. Like if you want to go on Facebook, there's the Storytellers group on Facebook. It's a Fundy group, and it's free. Like I think it's called Story. Here, I'll put the link in the chat. It's the Storytellers official Fundy Designer group, and you can ask questions there. That's not really a tech support question so much as more of a feature, like, hey, does this work or whatever? So I would do it in there. You can do it through tech support, and they're happy to answer the question. But yeah.
Can you just drag pages into different orders? I'm sure you can do that.
Yeah, you can do that. No, that's a great question though. Like that's easy.
Okay.
So here, I'll go back to my album. So when you're in your album, so the little X deletes pages, and this little thing at the top moves pages around.
Okay, so you could easily do it.
So I can do it this way if I wanted to. So yeah, I mean, the short answer is it takes a little bit of work, but there's not, like, as far as I know, I don't know if there's a way to
randomize.
just do an auto random type of thing.
Cool. All right. That's perfect. Any other questions, guys, before we finish up today? Has anyone got any other questions? Tom, please come off mute, mate. Ask away.
Hi, Andrew. Hi, everyone. There's a few features there that I didn't realize. I use Fundy. I did weddings for years. I don't do weddings for the last 3 years. I've stopped doing them, but I used it and I love the software. But there's a good few features in it that I did not know that it did. And to me, am I right by thinking that there's a lot of things in it? I don't want to be putting the other software down that we mentioned a few times, the obvious one, but it looks to me like it has everything that you would need to do a sale, which obviously
so it does, and it does, and it even has, like, if you're a senior photographer, this is another one that's really nice. You can do like cards, and you can design cards and stuff in here. I mean, I've not really messed with this, but you can actually go into here in design library and you can do card designs, and you can like here, just like do this baby card, right? Gosh, Daisy. And let's do, I haven't done this a whole lot, so I'm doing it.
It doesn't matter, John. Yeah, we don't need to go into all
the point is you can do cards, you can do all different kinds of things. There's even a proofing gallery, like you can send to people through it. And then so like you can update your final photos, send them the proofing gallery. They can actually note on each photo like any additional edits if they wanted to do that.
And lastly,
I don't do that for my proofing galleries. What?
Yes.
Sorry, Tom.
Just without holding you, Andrew, am I also right in thinking that there's a yearly charge or something for?
Yes, that's another thing. Fundy you can do monthly or you can do yearly, and it's a lot less expensive than the other place.
Right, I didn't know that.
Not knocking something, but I'm just like, that was another reason why I changed. It was just like I was using multiple licenses for people because I had sales and I had editor and all that stuff, and I just wanted one thing. And like Andrew said, Andrew Fundenberg, the owner of Fundy, has graciously given a 30% lifetime discount to anybody that came to this class.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, lads. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, buddy. Any other questions, guys or girls? No, I think we're all good. Narelle, you've just come off mute. Have you got a question, or was that an accident?
It was an accident, but while I'm here, thanks very much, guys. It was really great.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Andrew. Thanks for everybody coming. I hope you got something out of it.
Yeah, look, absolutely. Massive thanks again, John. So yeah, I'll have a replay available to you. So if you want to go back over anything, you can do that. Also, if you catch the replay or you're watching this on the replay or you're still here now and you have a follow-up question, please email me. Do not send these emails to John. I do not want to flood him with your questions. Send them to me. I'll get an answer from John. I'll put the answers back on the course page so everyone can benefit from those answers. So if you have any follow-up questions, please email me. It's andrew@photobizx.com. I'll share that with you in a follow-up email, and I'll get those questions answered by John when it suits him and then make them available to you. Otherwise, massive thanks. I know it was crazy early start for me and you in Australia.
I'm finishing my day. I'm going to a musical tonight, a musical performance. So.
All right, look, massive thanks, John. You've been incredible, so giving and so generous with what you shared. So massive thanks, and wishing you every success for the future. To everyone here, thank you so much again. I'll be in touch via email. Have a great rest of your day or evening, and I'll talk to you soon. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye-bye.